Hey guys, welcome back to Ace Recaps. Today, I'm going to explain a 2021 horror film titled Some Like It Rare. Heads up, spoilers ahead, you've been warned. The movie begins with a married couple named Vincent and Sophie running a small butcher shop on the outskirts of Paris. The shop is barely staying alive. Very few customers come in, and the ones who do are often put off by the unusual way Vincent handles and massages the meat before cutting it. The couple is struggling badly with money, and the bank has already turned down their request for a loan. Sophie is deeply frustrated with how things are going and has started thinking seriously about divorce. Their marriage has become cold and distant, and Vincent seems completely unaware of how close things are to breaking between them. One afternoon, a group of vegan activists wearing animal masks storms into the shop and attacks without warning. They throw paint across the walls and destroy the displays inside. Vincent manages to grab one of them and pulls the mask off his face, but the rest of the group rushes in, frees their friend, and knocks Vincent hard to the ground before running away. That same evening, Vincent and Sophie visit their longtime friends Mark and Stephanie for dinner. Mark and Stephanie also work in the meat business, but on a much larger scale, with factories and shops spread across the entire country. Mark shows off his wealth and makes Vincent feel small. Nothing like a rich friend to remind you how broke you are. He then hands Vincent an expensive rifle as a gift, telling him it is meant for protection against vegan attacks. To demonstrate the gun, Mark fires at a rubber duck floating in his pool. The duck did not deserve that level of aggression. This makes the already uncomfortable evening even more tense. He adds a cutting remark, making it clear that Vincent could never afford something like that on his own. The dinner leaves Sophie feeling deeply humiliated and more hopeless than she was before they arrived. On the drive back home, Sophie tells Vincent she is seriously considering divorce. Vincent barely reacts to what she says. His attention suddenly shifts when he spots one of the vegan activists from the earlier attack, riding a bicycle down the road ahead of them. Anger completely takes over. He reverses the car hard into the young man. The impact throws him to the ground, and he dies instantly. Vincent panics and nearly calls the police, believing he could pass it off as an accident. Sophie stops him before he can dial. And just like that, logic leaves the conversation. She reminds him of a notorious serial killer she once saw on a true crime show. That killer used to carefully dismember victims and scatter the remains across the city to avoid being identified or caught. She tells Vincent to do exactly the same. Frightened and out of any better options, Vincent brings the body back to the shop that night and starts cutting it up in the back room. During the process, an ear falls to the floor, and their dog immediately eats it. Even the dog did not think twice. Vincent finishes the work very late and places everything carefully in the freezer before going to bed. Sophie tells him to sleep on the sofa, since she still plans to go through with the divorce. The next morning, Vincent wakes up late and rushes to the shop in a panic, ready to deal with the remains, but something unexpected has already happened. Sophie has opened the shop early and unknowingly sold some of the meat to a regular customer, Madame Coignard. She believed it was normal stock. Madame Coignard returns to the shop shortly after. She says the meat is the finest she has ever tasted in her life and asks for more. That compliment comes with a lifetime of regret. Vincent is shocked and terrified, but he cannot reveal the truth. He pretends that he recently changed the supplier. Sophie becomes curious and decides to taste the meat herself. He has no choice but to cut a portion in front of the waiting customer. Sophie tastes it and is clearly impressed by it. When she asks what kind of animal the meat comes from, he tells her it is a rare type of pork imported directly from Iran. After Madame Coignard finally leaves, Vincent tells Sophie where the meat actually came from. Rather than being horrified by the truth, she remains completely calm. She says the remaining meat should be sold rather than thrown away. Vincent refuses and begins preparing to dispose of everything that is left. But more customers start arriving one after another. All of them have heard about the remarkable new meat from Madame Coignard and her neighbors. Faced with the growing crowd and the money being offered, the two of them start selling it. Even a police officer buys the meat from them. Law enforcement really said support local business. That same night, Vincent takes a small piece of the meat for himself and tastes it alone in the shop. He cannot explain it, but he finds it unlike anything he has ever eaten before. Sophie comes and sits beside him quietly. She starts thinking further ahead. She suggests they could keep selling this meat and become rich. She believes that the vegan activists eat only natural food, which is what makes their meat taste so good. She adds that hunting them could solve all of their financial problems at once and get rid of the people who have caused them so much trouble. Vincent refuses immediately and tells her to stop filling her head with ideas from those crime shows she watches. At this point, turning off the TV might have saved several lives. The next day, their daughter Chloe arrives for lunch with her new boyfriend Lucas. Vincent prepares a generous and well-prepared meal for the occasion. But Lucas refuses everything placed in front of him. He is a strict vegan and will not touch the meat, the cheese, or even the wine on the table. Chloe sides with him and eats nothing either. After the two of them leave, Vincent sits quietly at the table. All the effort he put into the meal is wasted, and his anger toward vegans slowly turns into something he can no longer ignore. He tells Sophie he is ready to move forward with her plan after all. That same evening, the two of them go to a vegan restaurant to look for a suitable first target. They settle on the restaurant owner, a man named Stefano, and follow him home later that night. Vincent enters the building after him with a cleaver in his hand, but the moment Stefano turns around and looks directly at him, Vincent's nerve breaks completely. He runs away without doing anything. Sophie is frustrated, but she tells him they simply need a better approach and more careful preparation. The next afternoon, the two of them join a vegan street protest outside a supermarket, pretending to be activists. A man with a distinctive feathered hairstyle approaches them, impressed by what they are doing, and invites them to take part in a raid on a large meat factory that same evening. Vincent and Sophie agree, seeing it as a chance to get closer to a target. When they arrive at the arranged meeting point, the feathered man has brought two others along with him, a woman named Hemera and another man named Camille. After they reach the factory, Sophie and Vincent realize it belongs to Mark and Stephanie. Sophie hesitates and decides to stay back in the van. Vincent and the others go inside the factory. Even though the factory belongs to his friends, Vincent has no hesitation. Instead, he destroys it with more energy than anyone else in the group. Afterward, Vincent and Sophie end up at a restaurant together where a heated argument breaks out between them. Vincent walks out in frustration and leaves Sophie sitting at the table alone. A young waiter approaches her and starts talking to her. The two of them discover they share an interest in true crime television programs, and Sophie quickly learns that the waiter is a vegan. She sees an opportunity she cannot ignore. When his shift ends, he takes her home on his motorcycle. Outside the house, Sophie initiates a kiss and deliberately bites his tongue hard enough to draw blood. She tells him to come inside so she can clean and treat the wound properly. That line sounded helpful, but it came with premium bad intentions. Once he is settled inside, she slips away to find Vincent and tells him she has brought a target home. Vincent is furious when he hears this. Sophie pushes further, telling him plainly that she will spend the night with the waiter if Vincent refuses to act. Vincent sharpens a knife but pulls back at the last moment, unable to go through with it. He goes to tell the waiter to leave and finds him undressed, clearly waiting for Sophie to return. That sight pushes Vincent past everything he has been holding back. He attacks the man violently and beats him to death. Before the two of them can deal with what just happened, Chloe arrives at the front door in tears. Lucas had ended things with her, accusing her of secretly eating meat behind his back. Vincent and Sophie quickly hide the body. They calm Chloe down and then send her back reluctantly so she does not notice anything unusual. Through the rest of the night, they prepare the meat and dispose of the waiter's motorcycle by sinking it in a river to eliminate any trace of evidence. The following morning, they go to visit Mark and Stephanie, whose factory had been heavily vandalized the night before. A police officer is already at the scene handling the investigation. That same officer later pulls Vincent aside privately, not to question him about anything suspicious, but simply to ask if he can purchase some of the famous Iranian pork he has bought before. Vincent agrees without hesitation. The shop reopens that afternoon, and the meat sells out completely within an hour. Business is booming for all the wrong reasons. From that point on, the two of them begin hunting with clear and deliberate intention. They use the rifle that Mark gave them and start targeting vegan activists throughout the city on a regular basis. The prices at the shop go up steadily, and the lines outside grow longer every morning. One evening, while the two of them wait near a quiet nature park, a tall and lean young vegan named Winnie approaches them and says he wants to become more involved in the activist movement. They lure him toward their van by telling him about a planned raid on a famous meat factory. As Winnie leans down to pick up a mask, Vincent raises his cleaver to kill him. Winnie senses something is wrong and turns around. He shoves Vincent aside and runs into the dark forest. They run after him but lose him. Sophie quickly calls Winnie's phone. When it rings loudly from behind a nearby tree, they close in on the spot. Before they can react, Winnie collapses to the ground from a sudden heart attack and dies right there in the forest. The next day, Vincent and Sophie visit Mark and Stephanie at their home and bring some of the meat along as a gift. Everyone eats together at the table, and both Mark and Stephanie are immediately captivated by the flavor. While eating, Mark bites down on something hard and pulls it out of his mouth. Stephanie used to work as a nurse. She takes a closer look at it and identifies it immediately as a pacemaker, the kind used in heart patients. The table goes completely silent. Vincent tries to cover the moment by claiming that Iranian pig farmers fit their animals with pacemakers to keep the meat more tender. Mark is unconvinced and becomes increasingly suspicious. He asks about the supplier, but Vincent refuses to say anything, calling it a business secret and making clear he has no intention of sharing it with a competitor. He then turns the conversation around and begins mocking Mark. The tension quickly turns into a loud argument and then into a physical fight between the two men. In the middle of the struggle, Vincent bites hard into Mark's ear and chews it in front of them. Mark and Stephanie back away from him in shock, and Vincent and Sophie leave the house without another word. Days pass, and the couple continues their hunt and sells more meat. One day at a large vegan festival, the couple starts searching for their next target. Suddenly, Chloe and Lucas run into them. Lucas mentions the recent news about missing vegans and suspects a group of butchers may be involved. He then loudly asks why they are at the festival and points out that they are butchers. The couple decides to leave. Sophie spots a heavyset woman leaving the festival and convinces Vincent to take her as their next target. Vincent says it is too risky after what just happened, but she insists. He finally agrees and kills her. That night, while cutting the meat at the shop, his cleaver breaks. Vincent goes to get another cleaver. At that moment, the police officer returns to the shop door. He informs Vincent that 10 vegans have now gone missing across the city and that local butchers have become the primary suspects in the investigation. While they are speaking at the doorway, the dog suddenly runs out behind the officer with a human hand in its mouth. The officer does not notice. Vincent quickly shouts the dog back inside and tells the officer he has been under severe stress ever since the activist attack on the shop. The officer looks uncertain but eventually leaves without pressing further. Vincent goes to Sophie and tells her that everything has to stop because he is convinced the police are closing in on them. Sophie brushes off his concern, pointing out that all the bodies have been sold as meat, so there is nothing left for anyone to find. Shortly after, Lucas appears at the front door to apologize for the harsh words he said earlier. He explains that the disappearances of several of his vegan friends have been weighing on him. Sophie catches Vincent's eye and signals clearly that Lucas should be their next target. Vincent refuses and firmly pushes Lucas out the door. The very next morning, Vincent announces to the line of waiting customers that the Iranian pork supply has ended and will not be coming back. The crowd disperses in frustration. Sophie is furious with his decision and calls him a coward. Vincent is deeply hurt but does not argue back. He takes his dog and walks away from the shop. While he is gone, the feathered man returns to the shop with Camille and Hamira. They have pieced together the truth that Sophie and Vincent are butchers and not actually vegans. They come to confront her directly. They tie Sophie up inside the freezer and begin threatening her. Camille presses a blade against her neck. Vincent returns and spots the group's van parked outside. He rushes inside. His dog leaps onto Camille while Vincent takes on Hamira and strikes her down. The feathered man is quick and experienced. He dodges all of Vincent's attacks and then drives a blade into Vincent's shoulder. He forces him against a large meat hook, leaving him pinned. At that moment, Sophie tears free from her restraints and drives a heavy hook through the feathered man's head. The two of them hold each other in the middle of the freezer, surrounded by the aftermath of everything they have done. Not long after, Vincent and Sophie are arrested. The full investigation that follows reveals they are responsible for the deaths of more than 30 people. It emerges that Mark and Stephanie were the ones who reported their suspicions to the police after Stephanie identified the pacemaker at the dinner table. The couple is brought before the court, convicted on all charges, and sentenced to death for everything they carried out together. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.